Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, guys. Welcome to the Odd Unicorn Podcast. I am Andrew, normally the co-host, but tonight the acting host.
Yes.
Because Silas left us.
Yes. And so we had to get two people to replace Silas because of his big mouth.
Yes, because we have three not so much talkers here.
Yes. So.
Yeah, but Silas actually went to help a pastor friend and his family with some housework. They're building a house. He's doing something good. He didn't just leave.
Wow. He just laughs.
Yeah, so hi to Bethany and Crystal. Glad to see you're, at least were watching. I don't know if you still are, but whatever.
Yes.
Slightly irrelevant.
Hi, Bethany and Crystal.
Personalities.
We have, so obviously for those of you, well, most people don't actually realize it probably, but this is Joy.
Yes, I am the manager of this YouTube channel, and I help Silas with different stuff.
She's the one that helps Silas,
Produce things, and I'm
live.
behind the scenes in the podcast. Yeah, that too.
Yeah, she's usually the one being like, Silas, we need to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then this is Victoria, Joy's best friend and my little sister. And tonight we're going to broach the topic of patience.
Yes.
But, and Mom. Hi, Mom. For those who don't know, that's Michelle Navis, my mother. And
Yeah.
Bethany and Crystal are sisters also.
They probably don't want to claim relation, though.
Too bad. It's all over the internet now. But first, as we always start out, how was your week? We'll start with Toria because you're our guest for tonight.
Oh, wow. I feel special.
You should.
Pretty good. Today, me and Joy hit 20 minutes of running, so we were very excited.
We died, though.
We died. We absolutely died. But we did it. We're alive.
Yeah.
We rose again. We were resurrected.
Yes.
A little cardiac arrest, but we made it through.
We're hoping that in a few weeks or a few months or a few years, we'll get to running 20 minutes straight.
If we're going to be deadly honest, I don't want to be running in several years.
That's true.
I heard of a guy that can run indefinitely. He can just start running and just never stop.
Has he tested it?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was running for, I think he ran for like 3 days straight or something like that. And when he finished, he's like, yeah, I'm tired because I haven't slept, but that's it.
That's crazy.
All I can say is how to train for that. You grab a pillow, you go to your couch, grab a blanket, lay down and go to sleep and in your dreams. That's how you accomplish that goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Joy, how about you? How was your week?
Was that the end of how your day was going?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or week? It's going to be week 2.
Week.
So, you did other things this
Tuesday.
week.
Since last Tuesday. Let's see. I went to T-Mania. Our cabin personally held the nurse's job. We kept them. We kept her in business. She probably loves us so much right now.
Yeah.
Other than that, one of the girls from my church got a concussion and hyperextended her knee. Another girl slid down an ice hill, right down the arm, hill of ice, and hit her head. So that one too. I had a person land on my ankle who got a concussion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the guy wasn't paying attention and just right to the head.
Oh, fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we were trying. We had to piggyback her all the way to the cabin on ice.
Yes.
It was an interesting experience. I'm sure she was more scared than we were because, she's the one on top.
Yeah, so we just, she carried her half the way, and then another one of us carried her the rest of the way, and then we got her back, and then we got the nurse, and we're like, do you have, a knee brace? And she's like, no, I don't. So,
and we didn't have any ice wraps or ice bandages, so, yeah. We made it real far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, is that the rest of your week?
I think so. I'm afraid I suffer from short-term memory loss, so that's all I can remember of my week.
That makes sense. How about you, Joy?
How was my week going? Well, I also went to T-Mania and had a great time. and came back generally unscathed, and that makes me upset because everybody else came back and they're like, I got a knee injury or I scraped my elbow, and I'm like, I slightly pulled a muscle, I think.
Yeah.
And the chiropractor's like, oh yeah, it's probably in the muscle, so you can just stretch it. But it's like, oh, come on.
I wanted to be injured. Wanted to have a
Yeah.
hard life here.
I wanted to
Yeah.
be in the same group as those who have injured themselves. Hi, Jordan Moody.
Jaden.
Yeah.
Jaden Moody. What am I?
Yep.
I don't know why I added an R.
I don't know. My mind did too,
Well,
but I
from-
saw it from far
From
away.
the distance, it looks
So I
a
didn't
little
even
bit like
recognize
Jordan.
that I knew that name.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And then also, wait, did I do something else? Trying to remember. I feel like I did something on Thursday, but I can't remember. No,
Did
I
you
didn't.
live? That's the important one.
I did
Thursday is
live.
the day. Thursday is the day you guys went. That's the
Yeah.
first day you went to team.
Yeah.
I did several nights of staying up late, but I can't remember which nights they were because I'm too tired. So, yeah, and my week went well. I enjoyed the
good.
whole week.
I had, well, compared to that, I had a fairly uneventful week.
It's a good thing sometimes.
It is. It really is. Wait, what did we do Saturday?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was gone doing something else.
We were
Yeah,
going.
So we did something Saturday. I don't remember now. Ruth and I. Oh, solo and ensemble.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what it was. Ruth had solo
Because some
and
people had to
ensemble.
leave T-Mania to go to solo
Yeah.
ensemble to help play for that.
Couple
And they
of my
sent a random
cousins.
person to tell me they left our group, which I was like, okay.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, so we went and I got, I don't know, I think I got a little over 8,000 steps in just within the high school. And yes, thank you. In a moment, you'll find out that I remembered. Yeah, so I got that. It went well, though. Ruth had two of her students, two of them are going to state.
Ooh, nice.
Two of the ones she accompanied.
Isn't state like in May?
I think so. I don't remember.
Okay.
So,
What about Phil and Seth? Did they get anybody going to state?
They just had Class C students, so
Okay.
only people playing Class A pieces can have the possibility of going to state.
Okay.
So, but I think one of them got 1. So 1, 2, 3 is the grading base. 1 is
Yeah.
the best. 3 is the worst.
I would know. I've been there several times. There was a period of like 6 years where every year I'd come along to watch a child that was still nursing because mom would go. So like for like 6 years it was like Joseph the first 3 years, and then it was Benjamin, and then it was Lissy 2 years, and then I stopped because then mom didn't have more children
Yeah.
that were nursing, so they just stayed home.
I went 1 year to help Ruth turn pages.
Yeah.
I remember
That was it.
yeah.
I turned pages. I was a pro. It was amazing. I definitely didn't mess her up.
Is that when we went down to Green Bay, or was it up north?
I think it was up north.
Okay, probably.
Yeah, but I pretty much just sat in musical theater. Other than that, yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. What is that the rest of your week?
That was Saturday, but otherwise the rest of my week was pretty normal. Just work and sleep and church.
Yeah.
Sleep's good.
Yeah.
Church is good too.
Yeah. Sleep's good. What about church?
My brain's moving really slow right now. You said that, and like a solid 5 seconds later,
Oh yeah.
like, almost died. It's fine.
Oh yeah. So anyway, we're here tonight to talk about patience. Bum bum bum.
Yay.
Are either of you experts on that?
No.
I mean, I would say we both have a lot of trouble with patience. So we're experts
great
in the
at
fact
trying.
that we're experts in the fact that we've had to try to have patience.
Yes.
That-
So we
I-
know what we've
I
tried.
demonstrated to Joy earlier my method of keeping patience, and you may not be able to see it, but I have a little welt right here. Ponytail, snap, works great when you're really mad because it hurts. Makes you focus. Remember, you're going to be patient, you're going to be nice, you're going to
Yes.
Yeah.
be kind. Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Useful.
Yeah. So like, yeah, both of us, I would say we're not experts in patience as in we got it down.
No.
We're experts in the fact that we know how hard it is.
We can relate. I think you're the
Yeah.
only
Exactly.
one who's mostly patient among us.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's just a personality thing for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just
not all out
because
there.
of who I am. Yeah, not my emotions, my feelings are not just all out there. So patience is having patience in situations that other people wouldn't is easier for me just because it comes naturally. I wouldn't say that I'm an expert on it in any way though. I don't
Yeah.
know if there's many, if any, who are,
Yeah, that's true.
but might as well talk.
I mean, like, as of a few months ago, I would say that I wasn't patient at all, but I've been actually working on it as much as I can, like, the past few
I've
months.
been working on it. I still can't say I'm patient. It just.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
better than it used to be, but
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Yeah. All right.
So-
Well.
we can start it out with what is patience. We just looked up a dictionary definition. It's the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. So,
That makes sense.
So
yeah.
does everybody have the capacity?
Yes.
Yes.
Just some don't want to. So, I mean, I guess that's one of the first things is you have to want to be patient
Yes.
to have patience. Because if you're sitting there you're like, I don't want to be patient. I should just become patient without having to do anything, and nothing's gonna happen.
The fun thing is, every now and then you'll hear about somebody who's like, oh, I really need to work on patience. I wanna learn patience. And maybe you'll hear about they're praying about it, and then you talk to them again later, and there's like, my life is horrible. Like, hey, remember when you prayed to have patience?
Yes.
Yeah, here it is. Cause
There's some things you don't pray if you're not prepared.
yeah.
Because one time a while ago, Mr. Rogers said that he prayed for patience, and it was the hardest time ever. So I'm like, I'm not praying for patience, please. I don't want that in my life right now. I will work on patience, but I don't want to pray that God gives you patience. Because all I've heard is that people who prayed that God would make them a patient person, that they got a lot of hard things in their life, and I'm like, my life's already hard. I'm just gonna work on what I got right now.
I mean, it makes sense. Is that you can't have patience when everything's going great. So there's
Yes.
nothing to have patience in or for or anything like that.
Yes, exactly.
So, as a helpful person I am, I just had to read to you all what I read when I looked at patience. Because, yes, she read the first definition, but I'd like to read you the second definition. It is defined as British. Any various forms of card games for one player, the object of which is to use up all of one's cards by performing a particular arrangement and sequence. I mean, that would require patience.
So like
And boredom.
solitaire.
Yeah, it says it afterwards, solitaire.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a little bit random.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know. I just thought it was funny because
Yeah.
thinking about that, I'm like, patience. It's a pretty good definition though of what patience is, because
That's
when you have to
true.
use up everything you got basically to not get angry, to not get upset, you're using everything in your hand trying to figure out the arrangement almost while you're in the situation.
Yeah, and that
And-
gets really hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It was just funny to me. You can define patience by solitaire.
So kind of like saying, in order to reach your goal, which whatever the goal of solitaire is, I'm not going to go into explaining that at the moment. In order to reach the goal, you have to use everything, but you have to not get angry while you're getting there.
Yeah.
Not just swipe the cards off the table.
Yeah, patience.
Not just
Yeah.
quit the game. You know.
Yeah.
Stop while you're ahead.
Yeah. So that's what patience is. So not getting angry in a tough situation, or well, yeah, that's
Yeah.
essentially it. So what we'd like to usually do is go into kind of some of the downsides and some of the benefits of patience. So, and then we come back around to how to have patience.
Yes.
So, your thoughts, we'll ask both of you, what are your thoughts on some of the downsides of not having patience?
Sorry, you can go first.
Okay. One thing is if you don't have patience, then that means you don't have self-control, and that can lead to a lot of you can first of all, it can if you get upset or angry with just say siblings, or maybe even it's not getting a prayer answered by God or anything like that, then it often leads to you getting upset, and that can ruin your reputation, and it can do so many other things too.
Yeah, very similar to what she said. It shows. I know that sounds weird, but when you're not a patient person, anybody, if they know you, even just for a small amount of time, they're going to know at least to some degree that you aren't. Because you could be a person who maybe is angry or bitter. But as weird as it sounds, if you have patience, even if you're angry or bitter, it's not going to show. Because someone's not going to come up to you and just, be Dory with your last nerve. Look at it. It's so squishy. It shall be mine. They're not going to start pressing you, and you're not going to just blow up. That's not going to be the end of it, because you have the patience to just, as bad as it sounds, just watch them. Play with your last nerve.
So
and also it's hard to be joyful and be able to have a good time if you don't have patience, because when you don't have patience, and especially for me when I live in a big family, it's like you're always upset because there's always something to be upset about when you're not being patient.
Yeah, so kind of the two things that were covered right now. So patience, not the downside of not having patience is people around you don't want to interact with you because it shows. They can see it on you.
Definitely. And then they'll be they won't want to talk to you as much because they're afraid that they'll be that you're upset and that you're going to just get upset at them. And sometimes even if you wouldn't have gotten upset at them, they just think so because they know you.
Yeah, and they don't want to bring up a tough situation or anything like that because they're like, well, they're just going to blow up because they're not going to be able to listen through and figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you also lose somewhat out of that verse, iron sharpeneth iron, because someone's going to be so afraid that they're just going to be the flint to your iron. It's the end of it. Flint and steel just... And
things burn.
Yeah. Burn the place down.
Yeah. So there's that. Then there's also, like you were saying, it affects your mood. It affects your joyfulness, your happiness. Be a sad person. It's, yeah.
And it could also make you think less about living for God and more about how things are affecting you. You can be more selfish with that. Or just or even things you're trying to work on, and it could not even be related to patience, but you're not able to because every time you go to try to do something, you're not patient enough, and then you just stop short of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's even like how the Bible says at the root of every angry situation or whatever is pride. And if you're not, being patient requires you to say, even if someone's throwing accusations in your face, or even if someone is just pushing you, it requires you to be able to stop and just put aside yourself.
Yeah.
Which is also how you avoid arguments, but so everything just kind of boils down to having patience.
Yes.
Yeah. Put inside pride and being like, pride would be like, I'm above this situation. I don't have to deal with this. Whereas patience is putting that aside and just being like, okay, well, how do we fix this? How do we deal with that? Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's. I like it. Let's see. So, what do you got written down here?
We have some verses.
Yes, we looked up a few verses beforehand.
You want to read it or you want me to?
Sure, I'll read it.
So I'm gonna hold it. This is 2
This is Psalms 40 verses 1. Yeah. I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. Should I read the next verse down?
Yeah.
Verse 2. He brought me up also out of an horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. So sometimes that means like sometimes if you are in a tough situation, sometimes you just need to be patient because maybe God's just about to take you out if you'll just be patient and wait for him.
And many times you'll like find if you blow up, if you lose it, or even if it's just like a small thing that you just start to get angry over it, even if it doesn't show on the outside, as soon as you wait for a while, sometimes you'll find out God has been figuring this whole thing out behind the scenes. And if you just waited 2 seconds, it would have been all solved. Like usually 5 minutes later, you could get angry and not be patient searching for something. 5 minutes later, somebody goes, it's right in front of your face. See it?
Yeah.
And many times it can just it can just be avoided by being patient, waiting a little.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Just take a little time in that specific situation. Take a little time to be like, okay, God, I'm frustrated trying to find this, whatever it is. Where is it?
Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes, oh wait, let me gather my thoughts. I just lost them. What was I going to say? What did you just say, Andrew?
Taking a little time to pray when you're like looking for stuff.
Let me think about this. Oh man, I lose my thoughts often. Take a little time to pray. Oh yeah. Another thing that could help is either like just finding something that you find helps you reminds you to be patient, because I know with me sometimes I just forget. Like afterwards I'm like, oh wait, I shouldn't have done that, and I just forgot to step aside and think about why I'm upset and not be upset about it.
My lovely dangly thing over here.
Yeah.
Because like even though it sounds weird, like snapping yourself if you not be patient, it makes you remember, because then you go to be patient and you're like, I'm gonna. Right, that's why this is here, because then every time afterwards, as weird as it sounds, pain does help your memory jog a little bit,
Clears up the thoughts
yes,
a bit.
And for me, before I did my Bible reading consistently, I had a really hard time remembering. But then when I started doing my Bible reading consistently and I started praying consistently, I actually saw results that God would remind me in the middle of the situation rather than 10 minutes after when it's too late to take back what I said.
Yeah, you're able to take a little time to actually hear God what He's saying in the middle of the situation.
Definitely.
Because just the thought of there's some things that sorry doesn't always fix.
Yeah.
As you get older, the situations come up more and more where you could get angry and lose your temper, but it'd be a bigger deal. Like, say you just blew up at your boss, and then you go, oh, well, sorry. I don't think that's going to go over too well. Like, I don't think he's just going to be like, okay, it'd be more along the lines of, you're not a little child anymore, goodbye,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could just get a lot of things ruined in your life without having patience. Okay, I'm going to read another verse here. Hebrews, what is it? It's 10:36? Oh no. I lost it. It's load. Hebrews 10:36. For ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of God, ye might receive the promise. Thoughts on that verse? My brain doesn't want to work. So.
Where's 36?
36. So basically,
right
that
there.
you've done the will of God. Okay.
There's a lot of. Do you want to go?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Right there, he's in the verses afterwards, he's talking about how having patience and just waiting for the time of when Jesus will come. So specifically, the promise there is specifically talking about. But I think that we can also apply it to other situations, in the fact that for you have need of patience after you have done the will of God, you might receive the promise.
Yeah.
In order to do God's will, in order to be in the will of God the way He wants us to, we need to have patience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what first came to mind is after that you have done the will of God, you might receive the promise. And how there's those verses that the meek shall inherit the earth, and there's all these promises for your attitude, I guess you could say, like people's attitude and their character, and just you need patience if you're going to fulfill any of these, if you're going to be meek, if you're going to be humble, and you just need to have need of patience. After that you have done the will of God, you might receive the promise. That because God will bless you for following what He wants you to do and just listening to Him and being kind one to another.
Yes.
So that was just what I thought of. What about you?
Yeah. I'm still processing. Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking of too.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was also thinking, like, we kind of talked about that before, of some of the, of like that, kind of what Andrew's saying too. That when you're doing something, having patience will just like words. When you're doing something, having patience is good, because if you don't, then you can mess up maybe God's plan for blessing in your life, and that's kind of along the lines of what you said too. So, yeah.
Yeah, so another negative side effect of not having patience
is you don't have as many blessings.
Yeah, you don't get as many blessings. You're not in the will of God, or you're not following through God's will the way He would have you to.
Like, even say, okay, theoretical situation. Like, say you had, for us, we have a lot of trees that fall by us or have to cut down, whatever. Let's say you're cutting down this tree, you're trying to take care of it, get all the brush cleared out, get the heavy logs moved, and someone comes over. You're tired, you're frustrated, you just hurt yourself on something, and you proceed to yell at them as to why they're in your way or whatever. And let's say they were just about to come over and ask if you wanted help so you could get this job done faster.
Yeah.
There's no blessing in it anymore. Now they're probably just gonna, unless they're an amazingly patient person, they're probably just gonna be like, all right, I'm out. You know?
Yeah.
And I've also heard of other stories where, in a situation where they just wanted to get upset, and they had to wait a really long time, and they kept patience, and that with the person that maybe it was the one I was talking about was a store checkout line where there was a problem with it, and it took like 3 hours for them to get through to get their stuff checked out, and it ended up that, and there was another time where they had completely forgotten their cart, and they had just gone and done a ton of shopping, and they would have had to put everything back, but the person that they were patient with was like, oh, that's okay, I can sit by your cart and I'll wait for you the whole time. It was like 30 minutes each way back home in there.
Wow.
And the person stayed by the cart the whole time. And it's like, patience can, sometimes it may not bless you right away, but it could in the future just give you people who knew that you had patience with them, so they're willing to be patient with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like it,
You can look up another verse.
Go to the next one.
Yes. Trying to do next.
I was going up, but James is right next to Hebrews.
Yes. James 1, 2 through 4.
All right. So it says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into divers temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing."
Fun.
That's kind of like the people who pray for patience.
Yeah.
The trying of your faith worketh patience.
Yep.
And
You
it's
know?
not easy.
Faith is just trust in something. Say, your car. You trust your car to get you from point A to point B. Well, the trying of your faith, your car breaks down. You're going to have to learn to have a little bit of patience.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Or not only breaking down, but if it
I almost kicked
if
the ear.
you had continuous problems, like you have another one and another one, and just having patience with that. Because I know, like, you had your car that kept having problems again and again, and you were patient with it. And Ruth was also trying to be thankful for what she had and being patient with it. And then God gave you a new car.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, free to us. That was a big blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just another verse about the fact that patience can give you blessings of all sorts.
And even if you're, say, in a work setting, and so just covering all angles of trying of your faith, it could be your trust in God, or maybe it could be your actual, like, your literal faith. So the thoughts that you have in reading your Bible and doing stuff like that, and let's say you go to a workplace, and someone is just continuously railing on you for being a Christian, for being different, maybe for having cleaner talking, maybe for never talking about doing bad things like they do, never swearing. Maybe it's just because they know that you're a nice person and they don't want you to look good. So, like, I've known people who they have had other people just be angry at them and be frustrated with them just simply because they knew they made a good impression on the boss. And the only way to, take that back would be to share everything that person has done wrong. And I think when you're stuck in a situation like that where something's always trying your faith, it really does work patience faster, even though it's more annoying. Like, you don't want to pray for that because it's such a burden to bear almost.
Yeah.
But it does. In the end, it will work patience in you. You'll learn how to cool off because
yeah, definitely
it's crazy.
Seeing that the more the harder it is to get through something, the more it'll reprove you and grow you faster.
Yeah.
Because if you have a really tough situation, then it works you much faster than if you had small ones, and you'd have to have several small ones to be able to work up that fast because you haven't had it tried, so you don't know what works, and you just aren't it's not as easy because you haven't tried it.
Well,
okay. That's right. I was just gonna say, I was just thinking of a situation where somebody I know was talking to me about how at their job they're doing everything right as far as they know, and their boss will really get on them for any tiny mistake, and like I kind of hope they actually end up watching this, because I just want to say, like, I was talking to them. And at the moment, I was saying, well, you got to kind of stand up for yourself. But at the same time, now that we're going through this and I was thinking about it, the trying of your faith worketh patience. So it's not necessarily a matter of them being it's not necessarily a matter of them being persecuted because of their faith or anything like that, but they're just going through a tough situation with just having to deal with people getting on them about random nothingness. But having faith would be this, as far as I know, this job is something they prayed about, that they're like, I think God wants me to work here, so pray about it more. And really, unless God says, that situation is not something I want you to deal with right now, so maybe find something else, and say, stick with it. It's tough. I've been in situations like that, and I didn't really handle it right when I was in the situation, but now looking back and looking at the verses we just read, just stick with it. It's a tough situation to have people, especially people in authority, getting on you about the little tiniest mistakes. And sometimes they were even saying, like, that person is even, they make the same mistakes.
Yes.
Or even sometimes worse, or like there was a mistake that happened and we got it fixed, but then I got yelled at afterwards. And so just stick with it. Trust in God. tough situation comes up, just trying to remember to pray and just be like, God, I need your patience. Help me to not blow up or to break down.
Yes.
And just to be able to stick with it. And maybe he'll bring a situation out of that where somebody else is like, hey, I've seen all this going on with you, and how do you keep your cool? How do you keep going through all that? So,
or also it could give them good insight that they could give to somebody else. Just somebody else who's also going through that, and then being like, I went through that too, and I found this to be the best thing.
yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it can be hard when you're going through a situation like that, or maybe it's something where just it feels like it's not your fault, and all you want to do is just tell them off and say that they're wrong. But it's from what I've seen in a lot of circumstances, that's not the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Because it's hard not to just stand up for every little thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have to remember that if it's biblical in the Bible, it depends on the situation, but you're standing up for every little thing. If it's not going to do anything, isn't necessarily the best idea.
Well, like, because even me, there's been situations I've been in where I'm like, I was in the right, though. It was, and, it could be in a fight. Dad always tells me, it's always the second person who throws the punch that gets caught, not the first.
Yeah.
And as bad as it sounds, I don't actually throw a punch. Might want to, but I don't. I'm good. Sometimes. But just that when you're in the situation, like you said, and you're like, I'm in the right and I could stand up for this and be, well, is it going to, as you said, resolve anything? Is it going to fix anything?
Yeah.
And just that unnecessary conflict.
Exactly.
As much as you, the pride, want to fix it to show others that you're right. Just being willing just to have the patience with the way of saying, okay, I'm just going to leave it,
Yeah.
And maybe sometime later somebody will be like, hey, you were in the right in that. Why didn't you do anything? And it might even provide an opportunity to share with someone who maybe either isn't as strong in their faith, a new Christian, or maybe just is working through stuff and maybe thinking about getting saved and stuff. Just to provide the opportunity just to be like, well, that's not me. That's God working in me, number one.
Yes, yeah.
I wanted to get in there.
Give them what for,
yes.
yeah.
But just to have those opportunities to bring them back to light and, the blessings that come with being patient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's from that. That was, James 1...
Through 3.
1,
2
and 4.
4.
Yeah. But then we just got a comment. Well, not just. It was
We got it a while ago.
It says, Galatians 5:22-23 have helped me a lot. Remembering the Holy Spirit will work through me if I draw close to Him.
I was going to read it.
yeah.
Well,
It says it popped up.
I have it memorized.
Okay, so let's hear those.
But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Did I get all of them? Against such there is no law. So...
Yeah, so just, like it says,
So,
remembering...
Patience is one of the fruits of the Spirit. But
Yeah.
Well,
And, yeah, so... For those of you who may not realize it, they'd be like, wait, patience isn't in there, but there's love, joy, peace, long suffering. That's essentially another word for patience. Yes.
Long suffering, isn't just like another word that means a lot of
what it says.
a lot of the same things.
Yeah. Because to suffer long.
Long suffering, I think it may lean more towards like dealing
The
with
conflict side.
with people or stuff like that.
Yeah.
That is often I think
More so
maybe
than waiting.
More for dealing with people or things that are like hurting you or something like that, rather than just waiting.
But then also like temperance, to not have the patience to not just go one extreme to the other.
The self-control,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so, like she was saying, it's just remembering that if we draw close to God, we let Him work through us, then those things, that list,
Yes.
love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance, that's the works, that's the fruit of the Holy Spirit working through us.
And I've seen that in my own life, that the closer I get to God, the easier it is for me to be happy, the easier it is for me to love others, the easier it is for everything on that list. It just becomes easier if you grow closer to God and just ask God to control your life. And it's never going to become like easy. It can become easier than it was before, because before it was impossible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely does become easier once you have God, because you have something to rely on.
And Dad even always preaches on whenever these come up. He says, I used to preach that, you have to work for these. You got to fight for them.
Yeah.
You got to work to have these things in your life. But then he's like, then I reading through the Bible, realizing it's not you working anything in you. You're just going to get worse at it. It's just going to get, the more you dwell on it, the harder it gets. It's really just reading your Bible every day, praying every day, and just having that relationship with God that allows Him to work through you. Because it's never yourself that reminds you, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. It's always the Holy Spirit in yourself, just working these fruits of the Spirit. Because they're not fruits of me. The fruits of me are more like anger, unkindness, lots of suffering to others, you know.
What is that one verse that it's like the greatest commandment?
For the greatest commandment
is love. It's in 1 Corinthians 13, I believe.
Okay, I'm trying to find it. You guys can keep talking.
Yeah, I was actually, I was going to say, what was I going to say? It was something along what you were saying about how when Dad's preaching and he's just saying how the fruits of the Spirit are, the fruits of the Spirit. It's the outcome of the Spirit working through us rather than us trying to work the will of God. Oh, that's what it was. Joy was talking about the impossibility of living the Christian life. And that's another thing that he preaches on, is just how the Christian life it's impossible. It's not something that we can do ourselves. That's why we have to have that relationship with God, have Him working through us, have Him essentially living the Christian life through us, rather than us trying to live it for ourselves.
Okay, I'm really terribly curious. Do you have coffee in there?
I do.
Wow.
Yeah. I filled it up with what was left after you guys grabbed it.
Okay, I found it. It's Matthew 22:37 through 39. Okay. Jesus said unto him, let's see. I'm just going to go back a few verses for context.
All right.
In verse 35, then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him, and saying, Master, which is a great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So in that, it means that if there's one thing you are to pursue, it is to love the Lord with all thy heart, soul, and mind. And if you do, then that means that you'll want to do the rest. So I found that when I'm trying to work on, like, I had a desire to have a relationship with God, but the problem is I was trying to working on working on my attitude and loving others and having joy, rather than working on my relationship with God. But if you love God, then you'll just want to do the other things.
Yeah.
Because you're not working to please God and without a relationship. You want to have a relationship, then with that love, and you will, first of all, often you feel more convicted about doing wrong things. So if you are to have a relationship with God and you are to do something wrong, you're like, well, this isn't pleasing to God, and I love God, and so I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely, it's just that if those are the two greatest commandments, if you follow those, then everything else will just come with it.
Well, and like if you love someone, you're not gonna get angry at them. Like you may get upset, but you're not gonna get like truly angry at them, and you're not going to want to just have that lack of patience with them. You know, you're gonna be a lot more forgiving in all the weird stuff they do, and so it just like it makes a difference to love God and love your neighbor. You know, and yes, everyone's your neighbor.
Yes.
Yes.
But just to have that love for others in your heart is one thing that you can work on. And if you truly love someone, you know the patience is going to come with it. It's
Exactly.
You don't get one or the other. It's like love and patience just go hand in hand.
I mean, like with my siblings, the more I love my siblings, the easier it is to not be upset when they do something annoying.
I actually had a very applicable situation of that today. So I was trying to get a hold of Silas because we have the soundboard here that the microphone's connected to and bring it into the computer and everything for recording. I was trying to get a hold of him, ask him to make sure he left it here because he had it originally in his car, and then he went down to Sheboygan, an hour and a half away. I'm like, did you leave
the reason it was gone is because he brought it to Team Mania for sound.
Yeah.
And so he hadn't brought it back here yet.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, did you leave that? At least leave it at your house so that it can be brought over here. And so I texted him that question, and then he texted me in response about just about kind of some stuff for the podcast tonight. And I was like, okay, yeah, but what about the question I just asked? And then a while later, no response. So I texted him again, like, hello. No response. And I'm just sitting there like, come on. And so I just had to remember, like, okay, at this time, he's probably either driving or he, like, just got there, so he's getting into figuring stuff out. And so, okay, I'll just wait. Finish work. Still no response. So I called him. Nothing. Okay. So then I called Joy, and she's like, yeah, he left it here. Okay.
Silas he called me before he left and let me know everything. Apparently he didn't let Andrew know.
Yeah.
Just left him in the dark, but yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the situations where just Silas is my best friend, and just knowing who he is, knowing that he's probably just not paying attention. So just gotta wait. He'll respond eventually. Yes, he's very forgetful, but he probably did remember to leave it. Yeah. So yeah, I really understand that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. I think
Romans
one more.
We have one more. We have one more verse.
Yep.
5 what?
3.
3. What? Okay, 5:3. And not only so, but we glory in tribulation also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience. Another one about trials and tribulation worketh patience.
Yeah, and that one specifically tribulation. So that's when you specifically have people attacking you because you're a Christian. That's what that circumstance would be. And so just remembering that when people are coming at you because you're a Christian, which I've not really had that. I've not had to deal with that.
Me neither.
Like on one hand I'm thankful, but on the other hand I'm like, maybe I need to be a better Christian, you know?
Yeah.
I also feel
How
like
much
it-
are people
yeah.
seeing? How much
It depends on where you are, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know
Well-
I've worked at farms, and you do get a lot more in those random job settings because generally the people working there aren't the most refined business workers. You know, if they're
Yeah.
gonna say it, they're gonna say it. And no, very few people will like just be like, "What are you doing?" But you know, there's enough people there that would just get not upset that we were around, but just very uncomfortable very fast.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they'd start to take it out on you a little bit, you
Yeah.
know, just like, "Why are you doing that? Why are you doing
And
that?"
it could be not necessarily like verbal.
Yes.
It could also be like they just don't respect you as a Christian, so they'll swear around
Yeah.
you, or
Swear
they'll
more.
play bad music just
Yeah.
because they are like, I like this and I don't want you to control my life in your
Like in this
convictions."
particular instance, it was just more so like that, like, you're annoying, so I'm just gonna do it anyways around you, or be more so than
Yes.
I would have, just because you know I want to offend you. I want to make this. I want to see you react. You know, they want to get a reaction out of you. They want to get a rise out of you, make you just feel uncomfortable around them,
Exactly.
so that they can have a reason to be mad at you. You know.
Yeah, just
Exactly.
having getting attacked because of being a Christian, because of what we believe, and just having the patience to be like, God wants me to deal with this, obviously, otherwise he wouldn't have put it in my life. So I just need to trust in him and keep going forward.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of hit everything.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what
Gone
I was
a little
just
bit
thinking.
full circle.
I'm like, I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So we talked about some of the downsides, like just
It
when
can
you're
ruin
not-
your reputation, and it can just overall ruin your mood and your joy and other
Yeah.
parts of your life as
Yeah,
well.
it can affect the people around you. Some of the upsides, just the blessing, the peace that God gives, the blessings that God gives in different situations.
Maybe even a relationship with somebody who most people wouldn't be in a relationship with them because they're so annoying. But sometimes the people who are so annoying can actually be really cool people.
Yeah.
They just don't know how to not be annoying.
Yes. Well, like, and also, like, when, like, I know me and you have this problem. When you don't have patience, it's on the front. Most people see what's on the front, and generally when you know somebody, what's outside is more extreme within. So it could be like me and you. It's right there. Everybody can see it. As much as I hate it, even if I'm silent, it shows. Just a little, okay. But then it can cause others to think, if that's what's going on the outside, I don't know what it's going to go on the inside. And so it can just ruin the chances for friendships. Just
Exactly.
to have good friends, to have close friends. Just because, unless you're like me, we're both stubborn. But just to have that openness to others. To make them actually desire to be your friend. Instead of being someone who's very, like, ugh, I don't want to be around you, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, so downsides, benefits, and then we even talked about a little bit just how to have patience. It's mostly a lot of prayer.
Yep.
It's just a lot of prayer, a lot of reading the Bible, maybe memorizing some of those verses, like some of the verses we went over, finding some other verses that
And
deal
if
with
you're
that.
even forgetting to do Bible reading and prayer, I've had to do this before. Is you get a friend to remind you every day,
Yeah.
or like just if they can't even remember to remind you, just have them set a reminder, because reminders for yourself don't really work that well.
It's really easy to just ignore.
Yes.
Yep.
But your friend of yours, or maybe they aren't specifically a friend, but they are pursuing a relationship with God, and they're willing, just anyone who's willing to remind you every day, they're more likely to text you and be like, did you do your Bible reading today? Because I've been having Ruth do that. And then eventually you just remember, because you know they're going to ask you. And
Then-
so you can be like, I'm going to do it first thing in the morning and text them right away that I did my bell ring before they even ask.
Yeah.
And also the safety of informing them. I may be grouchy at you, but I promise I'll like you and just give it 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yep.
You know, just that annoyance. Like, you're talking to me again. Told you I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think that pretty well sums everything up. So
we managed
got,
to make it through.
Yeah, we got
Like 5
a
minutes
few
left.
minutes left, so we can kind of hit that last segment. Have you gone through an entire episode?
No.
Have you heard the last segment? What
I
it
have.
is?
I suffer from short-term memory loss. I don't know.
So the last.
I actually genuinely only watched the
The
end.
last segment is what is making
What's
you happy
making
this
you
week?
happy?
What's making me happy?
Yeah, we're gonna start with you because you're the
Me.
guest.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
so
we
special.
always start
Not.
with the guest.
I feel
Yes.
attacked now. Let's
What's
see.
making
As
you
long as you have something to say. Are you
And
just
it-
are you just grumpy all the time?
I am happy. I kind of have to think on it because
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
anything like
Spiritual,
super
yes.
spiritual or anything. You know.
that's good.
Yeah, just those little
well,
things.
As funny as it sounds, I think something that really just made me happy this week, that made me laugh really hard, was we went to Teen Mania, and number one, one of my best friends that I don't get to see very long, she lives a while away, was there, and that was just very happy. But then also the girl that slid down the was tubing, fell off her tube, slid down the ice, and proceeded to hit her head on a snowman. Sounds really bad.
Yes.
But she
Yeah.
it was just so funny to me to see her so excited that she
Yes.
got an injury. She was just running around. She was
Because
showing us.
I was
and
with
I was
her when she
laughing
got the
so
injury.
hard.
Because she went down there,
Yeah.
she wiped out, and they're like, "Oh, that girl down there wiped
Yeah.
out." I'm like, "Oh wait, that's Rachel." And so then I went
She's
down,
fine.
and I was just like, "Oh, do you need a Band-Aid? Do we need clear off?" She's like, "No, I got an injury.
I
Let's
know.
go show everybody." And the whole way back, she was just like super excited that she got an injury, and it like looked like a shark bite.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I got a shark bite on my shoulder. On my elbow."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I got it. I also my head got it." I'm
3
like,
times as hard, but I'm fine.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. It just made me happy. It was funny.
Yeah.
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 She's one of those friends where I don't know about other people, but I think some people might think she's annoying or just hard to be friends with because she talks really fast. Like
I'm
she's
fine with
fast
that.
talking,
I
and
talk
she's
so fast.
yeah, she's a fast talker, and I don't know if some people might not like want to be friends with her or not be able to, but like I want to be friends with her, and we've kind of been able to become friends, and she's really like. The thing is, she's always like super excited.
She's so energetic.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's got enough energy to fuel just an entire energy drink company. Like, if you could, every day, just
She's
every
like
day, fuel an entire-
hyperactive all the time, but she's really funny too.
Yep. You go. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that's making you happy. Anything else? Or is that really?
Squishing my dog. She is such the personality. Oh my goodness. Little tiny, well, not tiny. She's a larger breed of Yorkie. She's a Yorkie. She's 15, yeah. She's turning 16 this year. She's going to be old. We were joking about this week's Sweet 16. It's going to be her Sweet 16th birthday this year.
It's gonna be sweet for everybody else because maybe she'll just die.
Yes. But she's just old. She's pretty much grumpy. She doesn't bark, but she lets you know what she's thinking. She may groan. She may just glare at you from the corner. But just picking her up and just her being so upset that I picked her up, but then sometimes I'll put her down and she just comes up to me and she's like, "No, it's okay. You can keep picking me up." And it's just, I don't know why. It's just so fun. It's like, "Oh, okay. You actually like me."
Yeah.
What
Is
about
that
you,
everything?
Joy?
Yes, that's everything.
Okay. What's making me happy this week? First of all, Teen Mania. It was a lot of fun. And I did my best to do the loudest cheering I could and play
I
the
lost my
best I
voice.
could in my game.
Yes.
I don't know. I couldn't lose my voice. No matter how loud I got for how long, my voice just wouldn't go. My voice is just too good, I guess.
The only reason I lost mine is because I had a little bit of a cold, so it was already
too.
going.
Oh, yeah.
You
Another
got
thing
skills.
that made me happy was, I don't remember what day it was, but like Saturday last week, not this previous Saturday, but the week before that, something like that. I got a cold, and it got pretty bad. And then I prayed that God would like heal me so that I wouldn't be so bad at Teen Mania. And my cold didn't really get better at all for the next few days. And then on Thursday, it's just like I never had it. It just went away.
Nice.
And I was like,
Nice.
that is so cool. And then also, it was a little before Teen Mania, a little bit after, but because I've been trying to pray every day and read my Bible every day, I've been actually having joy in the Lord, and that's been amazing.
Yes.
It's like having joy makes me happy, which makes me even happier.
Having joy.
Yes. And so like then when we went to church, like I was happy the whole day, and then people were just like, oh, "You're smiling. You're actually living up to your name." I'm like, "Yes, with God's help, I am." So that's been making me happy.
I think it'd be more groundbreaking if I smiled in the morning. Like, that sounds awful, but I have no expression in the morning.
Yes,
me
and
too.
then
I just kind of.
also just taking care of my little siblings has also been happy. Well, just when I take it is I love kids, or at least I guess I'll enjoy it more when it's like my siblings or if it were my kids, because then I get to set the rules and boundaries. But like I enjoy seeing them happy that I am taking care of them.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
me and Silas put them to bed last night, and they were both all three just like really happy. They're like, "You're putting us to bed?" Yes. And I'm like, "Yep, we are." And then we got them to bed at a pretty early time, so that was cool. So that's what's been making me happy. What about you?
Well, we switched at work. We switched from 5-inch to 3-inch and 3 1/4. That was making me happy because like 5-inch, 6-inch, that stuff's a pain for me. That and it's just been really nice. The weather's been really nice lately. So walking back and forth to work.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we went to the chiropractor Monday. That was really nice. We don't get to go very often, and so going every now and then is just that makes me happy.
I went to the chiropractor too, but I do every 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mentioned that my shoulder hurt, and he's like, "Did you do something?" I'm like, "Yeah, I went to Teen Mania."
That just explains everything.
Yes.
Yeah, he asked us actually. So did you guys go to that Teen Mania thing? Oh, no, we didn't.
Too old.
Didn't you go after us?
Yeah, we went same day
because
after
when
you did.
Yeah, because you saw us at Quick Trip later.
Yes, yep.
But yeah, we went and we were like, Becca's like, "Yeah, I went to Teen Mania." And I'm like, "Yep, I went to Teen Mania too." We're so from that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think that wraps things up more or less. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks to those who are listening. Join us again next week. We'll be back same time as per usual, 7 o'clock on Tuesday.
And we'll be back to our old hosts.
Yes, Silas will be
Won't have
back.
to deal with us anymore.
Yes.
We're working with maybe getting another guest on at some point pretty soon. Got to talk to them, figure out their schedule.
Yes,
But
scheduling.
that's going to be an interesting topic. So stick around, see whenever we get to that. I'm just going to leave it at that. Let you anticipation, build the anticipation.
And that's what gets you coming back.
That's what gets them coming back. Yeah.
Go watch any of our old podcasts.
Yeah, watch podcasts. There's a few produced videos that Silas has made, a couple shorts that I've put out, that Silas has put out.
Yep.
Just check it out and hope that you'll come back next week. So